Prince was a creativity machine. He might be the most prolific musician that ever lived. And even though you may never reach even a fraction of his output in your own lifetime, here are 6 lessons that you can extract from his creative process that will give you an edge over everyone else.
Lesson number 1, work fast.
Back in those days, people didn't make albums on computers. You had to rent a studio for a few $100s a day if you wanted to record music. And the studio came with an engineer. In Prince's case, God help that poor engineer.
If you did anything that slowed Prince down, you were out of there.
That's why Prince preferred working with women in the studio. They worked with 0 friction. And 0 friction equals speed.
He'd come in and I'd hand him the bass and he'd play the bass. And he'd put that down and then he'd either go to the keys or he'd pick up the guitar.
Susan Rogers witnessed him making a song a day for 5 years. Songs like Kiss and Sign of the Times.
He'd play all the parts, sing his lead vocals, sing his backing vocals, add the final stuff. I'd be mixing it as the song was coming together. And usually a day later, it would be done.
We could do, and we did do, an album in a week.
And all he had when he came in was lyrics that he had jotted down in his hotel room.
He came in with stationery from Le Parc with the lyrics on it.
And he would emerge with a fully written, fully recorded, and fully mixed song by the end of it.
He jump on the keyboards, you know, guitar. It was just funky, you know. It's like, man, it's like, how do you come up with this?
Plays all the instruments on it.
He played everything, and he mixed it, too.
And he mixed it.
In one day.
Jesus.
Everything was basically one take.
Prince was in constant flow.
He was like a funnel. It was as if somebody was pouring these songs into him, and they would just continue to come out the other end.
He raised the bar for how fast you could create a hit song.
I've spoken with some of his engineers who worked with him later in his career as well, and we all say the same thing. You know, after Prince, you try to not feel disdain for a person who needs to take all day to do a guitar part. You're thinking, why do you have a record deal?
Lesson number 2, become a finisher.
Peggy McGreary was right there in the room when Prince recorded the biggest song of 1984, the biggest song of his career, in only 2 days.
You know, like we cut When Doves Cry, just the 2 of us. It was nice to watch that process. He usually started with a drum track, and he did with that one, and then he started building raging guitar and the raging synths and everything. It seemed so overproduced to me. It was the last night we were mixing it. As the night went on, things started coming out. And he kind of unproduced it, if you can possibly do that. And then the last thing he did is he punched that bass out and he smiled at me and he said, "Ain't nobody gonna believe I do this." And he did.
He stuck with one idea while it was burning hot until it was finished. But how do you do that?
Lesson number 3, stop trying to be a perfectionist.
Do you remember they used to spend a week on a fucking snare sound? It's like, give me a break. And I literally had 5 minutes to get a drum sound. He taught me another side. You know, that little picky, cocained out shit doesn't matter. If it's a good song, you get it down, it's a good song.
Don't overthink things. Keep it moving. In the overproduced 80s, this was unheard of.
In that era, everybody was kind of doing the sterile music where you do 20 takes of one thing, and he didn't work like that. A lot of times he would take the first take, even though there were maybe mistakes. You go, oh, I know I can do it better. Let me perfect it. He said, no, he wants the feeling. There was something about the first emotion that he wanted, and he'd mix into it, and you go, oh.
Prince knew that leaving the mistakes in was also leaving the emotions in.
He himself.
Number 6, develop vault mentality.
Prince didn't look at his day like he was recording a song, or even like he was recording an album. Prince looked at his day like he was crafting his legacy. And that's why as soon as he built his own recording studio, he also built the vault. Look like?
It's just this room in the building that just has like veils and whatnot. And then there's the door with the combination lock.
But this wasn't a vault of sketches of ideas or just loops. This was a vault of fully mixed songs and full albums that have yet to see the light of day.
When you say the word vault, it's really a vault of treasure. I mean, it's like the Beatles stuff. This stuff is incredible on every level with all different type of artists.
You see the amount of recordings he has in his vault, it doesn't even make sense You would think somebody's lived like 300 years and was recording 5 songs a day.
Frequently, he would have very, very excellent songs that for whatever reason didn't fit the concept he had in mind for a given album. So that song would fall to the wayside.
The amount of time that I spent in the studio with him, probably only about 5 or 10% of it was ever released.
And vault mentality puts you in a frame of mind of being output driven.
Do you think we're ever going to get to hear everything that's in the vault?
No.
Why? Because he won't put it out?
No, because I think if you could, you would probably be you'd probably be sitting there for 10 years.